Hi everyone, welcome to Otterly AG's channel. I'm not Otterly, my name is Callie. I'm Otterly's friend, and I decided to make this series just to make some cool stuff for Otterly to show off on her channel and maybe unpack and use on her dolls, I'm not sure. And this video is going to be a review of the pattern as a whole and a review of what I made using this pattern. Okay, so this is the last video in this series. I've actually decided not to film myself making pattern D and pattern E because the steps for making those have been covered at least in part by all the other videos and all the other garments, and I honestly don't feel like the fabrics that I have will make a good enough version of these. If you want to make one of these other ones, the instructions are pretty much within all the other videos, except for the pleated skirt, which is kind of annoying, but it's tedious, but it's not impossible. Pleated skirts just take a long time to pleat, but then you're done with it and you can move on to the next step. So let's go over all the things that I made. We'll go in whatever order they're hanging in front of me, which is, I'm going to start with the coat. I think the coat turned out really cute. Obviously, if you watched that video, I wasn't very happy with the pattern, but the coat itself is really cute, and I think it'll go with a lot of things. It's good for this wintry weather we're having right now, at least while I'm filming this, and I think it's just like a good overcoat to have in your collection. The next set was this shirt and pant combo. I think the pants are kind of cool. They're very unique. They have this cool cutout here. You can see it, yep. And I kind of like how this looks with the little bows. Kind of makes it look like it is kind of tied on each end, but it's not. This is all elastic. The color combo I think works really well. This is kind of zebra-esque now that I'm looking at it now, but I'm still happy with it. I wish I didn't have to cut these lines here, but just the fabric required me to. It's a little thin. Maybe I would have put a lining like it told me to, but I didn't really have the energy to do that at the time. But I like the color of the pants. I like the color of the shirt. These little bows are really cute. So I really like how this turned out overall. Next, we'll talk about these undergarments that I made. I don't think that the top is really necessary for any garment. I'm not really sure what garment you would put the top under because there's not really a reason to on the dolls. But this bottom is a really fantastic petticoat, particularly for if you have a dress that you want to make really puffy or something like that, or maybe a skirt. This petticoat is a wonderful addition if you just want like a really, really puffy skirt or dress. I made this cute little hat. I'm pretty happy with it. The pattern was very simple, quick to make. There's a lot of variations you could do with this hat. I like how the bow turned out. Not much to say about it, but yeah, it's a cute hat. And finally, my favorite piece, which is, I would say, like the piece de resistance of this whole pattern set, is the dress. Obviously, this is a princess dress. It's very frilly, pink, reminds you of tea parties and going to balls, and that's all wonderful, but it's not really Otterly style, and ultimately, I was attempting to make these clothes in a style that Otterly might rather find enjoyable. So, I changed the fabric. I didn't make it as puffy, I didn't use any ribbon or lace, and this was the result. I really like how this dress turned out. I love how the pattern lays. I'm really happy with the colors and the construction. It's so very beautiful. It's very sophisticated and elegant. This dress is just a win all around. I'm just so happy with it. And if you wanted to make, there was a whole section of the pattern that I completely skipped, which was you're supposed to have sort of a built-in skirt underneath that will make this super, super puffy, like how the original princess dress is. But because of the nature of just the pattern and everything, I decided to just keep it this way so it can have more of a little, like a more mature feeling. However, if for some reason you wanted to go back, or utterly wanted to go back and have it be a puffy dress, you could use the petticoat from this pattern and it would just create the same effect. Make it nice and puffy. Let's see. Yeah, see? So just like that. So I don't think that the whole step with the, what did they call it? An underskirt. They had a whole section of the underskirt. I just don't think it was necessary when you can have a petticoat to go along with it. Maybe the underskirt was supposed to be the same color as the lining. I mean, the underskirt was supposed to be the same color as the lining, which the petticoat obviously isn't. But I think it's fine. I could have hypothetically made this petticoat in this color, or anything like that. But to me, it's a lot more versatile to make two different pieces that I can mix and match with a bunch of other pieces, rather than restricting myself to having this dress look one kind of way and only having one piece out of it instead of two. So that's why I ended up doing that. Obviously you can see I also made these little hangers, which you can find tutorials of online and things like that, but I just sort of made them how I felt like it would fit. You can see that this one's kind of a weird one, so I can hold the skirt and the top. I just sort of followed my instincts as far as the wire went and created that. So anyways, that's all I have to talk about with the finished garments. I sort of already went on a rant about this pattern in the coat video, but I will say, generally speaking, this pattern, BP31 Butterick, the pieces in it are wonderful. They're so cute. They're very versatile. You can do a lot of mixing and matching and playing around with the patterns and playing around with the colors and creating all different kinds of clothing, different styles. And I think that's wonderful. That's why I chose this pattern in the first place. The designs are fantastic. However, I do feel like they cut corners in making the pattern in very odd places, where they also made the pattern complicated in a lot of ways. So they didn't cut corners to make the pattern easier. They clearly just cut corners to make the pattern easier for them to make, which really disappoints me. I don't want to have to say that. I did enjoy the outcomes of these, but I had to change the pattern directions so much. I had to ignore so many steps, and I had to just add so many steps that most of the time I didn't even really bother to reference the directions that much. But the original pieces are fairly sound, except for my criticism of the collar on F, where you can go back and watch that video. I talk about it at length. So generally, I do like this pattern, and it is for, I would say, intermediate sewers. But if you don't already know how to do some things or how to change a pattern to suit your tastes, this is not the pattern for you. There are patterns that are way simpler, that are much better steps into going into making clothing for your first time. However, if you already know how to make clothes, if you've made some clothes for dolls or people, this pattern is a really great way to learn some more complicated construction techniques. For instance, they explain how to gather skirts, which is great. That's a really useful skill to have. They talk a lot about lining. Lining is super important if you want to make clothes that are constructed well. Obviously they have undergarments. That's fantastic. They have pleated skirts. Pleated skirts are really great, just sort of technical exercise and getting precision in your measurements. There's a lot of great stuff in this pattern as far as taking your skills to the next level. But if you are a beginner sewer and you are looking for a pattern to learn to sew, this is not the pattern for you. I had a great time with this pattern. I learned that I really enjoy making doll clothes. But maybe other people would not have had a gooder time as me. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I had a fantastic time. I can't wait to see Otterly's reaction, whether she hates it or loves it, or you know what, I don't mind. I really had a fun time doing all of this, and I think I'm actually going to continue making clothes from this pattern, but just with different, I'm just going to either do the same patterns and mix up all the fabrics, or I'm going to do some of the ones that I didn't film, although I'm not really sure what fabrics I would use for those. And I'm going to just make some clothes for fun, because that's how much fun I had making these clothes to film for you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this series. If you haven't seen the other videos, go check them out. There will be links somewhere, both on screen and in the description, or wherever Otterly puts them. There will be links to the other videos. You guys can find me at Double Dorks DIY. I have a YouTube channel where I make all kinds of things. I sew, and we thrift, and we do all kinds of really fun things, just centered around geeky things. So K-pop, anime, dolls, or music, or Japanese or Korean culture. If any of those things sound appealing to you at all, please check us out. We'll be uploading lots of videos relating to crafting and sewing and thrifting in the near future. And thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, I hope you guys will continue to watch Otterly's videos. Bye-bye!